Okay, let's start. Welcome, good evening to everyone. I hope that I'm not sounding too high in volume. First of all, most important thing, I would like to thank the host, Ian and Paul Gordon, for inviting me here today. My name is Javier Marti, and there are a couple of caveats that I want to do before we proceed any forward with the presentation. Number one is that English is not my mother tongue, as you may have already noticed. I speak usually Spanish. So if I don't find the word that I'm looking for, just give me a couple of seconds and I should get there, okay? The other thing that is important is that I don't have any business cards. So sometimes people ask me for business cards. I promise you, I don't even carry a wallet with me. I just don't like them. So you can go to the website, all the details are there, and you can find me or find us. Okay, the next thing that we need to tell you about is that neither myself personally nor BitcoinGlobalInvestments.com, the company that I represent here today, advocate or encourage the use of Bitcoins for any kind of illegal activities. However, we're going to be mentioning tax evasion because it's one of the things that affects Bitcoin and what it can do for the world. So some people are free to use it that way. Some people are free not to use it that way, but we had to mention it in the presentation. So let's start. Okay, my name is Javier Marti from BitcoinGlobalInvestments.com. I'm a trend forecaster. I'm also a speaker, author. I wrote the book Mobile Domains in the Future a few years ago about the mobile revolution, how that was helping to change the world in a way. Now Bitcoin is doing something very, very similar for the world. My areas of expertise are in the intersection between business psychology and technology. Okay, and I hope not to bore you too much with details today. So let's go. I am also the founder of BitcoinGlobalInvestments.com, and we mainly do four things. Number one is we provide services of information and strategy consulting. Okay, so we are kind of a small but growing mixture between trendwatching.com, I don't know if you know it, if you know them, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the Fitch and Moody rating agencies. There's where we are, but for the world of Bitcoin. Okay, you will learn more if you go to the website. I like that you are so enthusiastic. It's helping. Okay, the next thing. We also publish the BGI indices, which are algorithm-based numerical representation of the health of Bitcoin at any one point. Okay, more than 200 pieces of data go to calculating any of these indices. We publish 3 at the moment, but you will hear about that more in the future. Okay, the other thing that we do is we have a domain portfolio of Bitcoin-related properties. Most of them contain Bitcoin in the keywords for a reason on the name of the domain. For example, BitcoinPropertyInvestments.com we own, BitcoinAffiliateMarketing.com we own, BitcoinGroupBuying.com we own, and several others. We are open to develop it with people like you, so let us know if you're interested in developing some of those domains with us. The last thing that we do is we are gathering a database of Bitcoin talent. I like to put it in very simple terms, and the way I explain it is people that get Bitcoin and are very smart, we are interested in knowing about them. In order to do this, the best thing is that you are invited to be part of what we're doing at Bitcoin Global Investments there. The only thing you need to do is to go to the website. There's a section that is the Bitcoin Entrepreneurs and Developers section, and you can fill a form there, and then I will contact you personally because at the moment, I like to do as much as I can personally. So if you fill the form, most probably you will hear about me in the next 1 to 2 weeks, okay? Now, regarding Bitcoin, if we want, why is it going like that? Is it the microphone? Am I too close to the, okay. Oh. Okay. In order to understand where Bitcoin is and where Bitcoin is going, we have to understand first the big picture, exactly what is happening out there with the economy, okay? Now, what is happening right now is something that started in about 1995, which was the time when CompuServe and AOL started to provide direct dial access to the people in general on the internet, okay? In my opinion, the crisis that we are seeing today in the world started back then. After that, we have lived out of bubbles and finance and other things that I will explain later. But in my opinion, the current crisis that we are experiencing started at that time. At that time, At that time, this revolution, this change started in the way that we do things, in the way we communicate, in the way we sell to each other, in the way that we present information to each other. Suddenly, everyone could send all this information all over the world without any kind of barriers, just like that. Before, the internet had been the realm of the military and universities, as you may know. But after 1995, it was the time when I think eBay was founded. It was the time when Amazon was founded. It was the time when Hotmail was founded. And it was a very momentous year. And in my opinion, that's a really nice way to put it, when things started. For me, that was kind of the beginning of the end that will affect the economy in very, very powerful ways. Such powerful ways that today we're living the big reset, or the great reset, however you want to call it. Okay, what we have at the moment on the picture out there is indebted governments that are having a lack of revenues because there's less and less money in the economy, and they're having a tendency to privatize more and more and more of that was public before. We have insolvent banks that have been very busy in the last few years in a wonderful game of musical chairs, lending money to each other, trading with each other. And what they expected to do is to leave the last one standing as the loser. The problem is that this game of musical chairs has a kind of diabolical twist to it, because the last one standing brings down all the others with him in a way. So that's what we have at the moment, and a lot of people doesn't know it, but most banks out there are insolvent. They really don't have your money due to fractional reserve banking and due to them having invested that money in the international capital markets, okay? Now, we have rising global unemployment, and this is a trend that will get stronger and stronger as we go forward in the future. And we have economies collapsing all over the world. For example, we have the China miracle that we are seeing finally that is not such a miracle after all. We have Brazil slowing down notoriously. And wherever you go, wherever you look at the capitalistic system today, it is collapsing either in one way or another. It's just a matter of time, but it's clearly in a slow decline. I don't say that capitalism in itself is a model that doesn't work. We are here in a way due to the capitalistic system, but it clearly needs some very powerful reforms. Now, finally, all this is like the cherry on the cake is aided by the press not informing, but entertaining. The press today, unfortunately, in most cases, is pushing the agendas of those in power, either political agendas or commercial agendas. I think that you may need to turn down the volume a little bit, and that may do the trick with the... Excellent, thank you. I can shout more if needed. I can shout a lot. Okay, so the other thing that is adding to this situation, apart from the way in which we have done things that is clearly not helping, is these main trends of offshore outsourcing, automation, illegal immigration, and robotics. Okay, clearly, if you look at trends as I've been looking for the last 12 years or so, you can see that this is creating, and this is nothing new. This has been happening for quite some time. You could see it coming clearly. In 2004, I wrote an article about this, which was called "Your Job Will Go To, But You Can Do Something About It." It was a terribly written article in English because my English wasn't so good at the time, but it was clearly saying exactly the same things that I would say today, which are offshore outsourcing, automation, illegal immigration, robotics, are all coming together, and they're going to make most of the people out there and most of the people in here to lose their jobs if they're working for someone else, okay? There on the right there, we can see that most of these jobs that are being lost today will never come back, at least never in the way that we used to have them before. This is a fact, this is happening, and unfortunately, this is the real problem that is not being addressed. If you ask economists, they will tell you, oh, it's a cyclical thing, or they will tell you, oh, it's just a recession, or something like that, yeah? If you ask politicians, they will tell you, oh, in the next round of emergency bailout for this country, things will get better. Or they will tell you, there are green routes just around the corner. It's not really true, okay? If you really know what's going on, this is what's going on, and this is the real problem that nobody's talking about. This is not the symptom, like they will want to make you believe. This is the real problem. If this is not solved, and nobody's talking about this properly as they should, we are clearly going to the bankruptcy of the whole of the Western world, because the capitalistic system can simply not function if it doesn't have the revenues that the state needs in order to fund all the activities of society as we know it today. I hope I'm explaining myself clearly there. Now, the solution of politicians today is very interesting because the best thing that they can think of, it seems, is to help in the greatest wealth transfer that the world has ever seen, from the public to the private, from the lower classes of society to the upper classes of society, from the 99% to the 1%. Bear in mind that I don't advocate any particular political situation. I'm trying to be as impartial as I am, and all this information can be corroborated if you want. What we have today is workers giving money to the state gives it to the banks give it to the private shareholders. What is happening? That money is not coming back to the economy. That's the most important thing to understand from this slide there, that money is not coming back to the economy. It is more profitable for them right now either to hold the money because they see the writing on the wall, or to play it by buying bonds of certain countries rather than to bring it back and give mortgages to the small businesses around the corner. This is something very interesting to know, very interesting to remember, because this money is not coming back. So at the same time that we have higher unemployment, we have money that is coming out of the system and not ever coming back. Now, at the international level, we have something very similar. The EU bails out the country, the country bails out the banks again, and that money again goes to the private shareholders. Finally, there are other initiatives that the government can tell you that we're doing. Oh, we are creating jobs, nurses, on the police, or we are creating jobs as teachers. Well, those jobs are either paid directly by or subsidized by the government. In order to pay for those jobs, the races will either have to go up, or they will have to find some way to extract money from the population in order to create jobs, as they call them. Unfortunately, most political parties out there, they don't have it very clear how they're really planning to do this. So this is an exercise in futility. It's not going to work. It doesn't resolve the main source of the problem, which is money coming out, rise in unemployment due to offshore outsourcing, automation, illegal immigration, and robotics. Now, so what is coming? It's a direct line from there. We can see cause revolutions and social unrest coming, okay, in the next 1, 2, 3 years. Clearly, things are going to get worse and worse and worse from here. Of course, not in every country, this is going to happen in the same way. Here in England, people are very calm, relaxed about certain things. It may take longer. I'm not exactly sure how it will pan out here, but in, for example, more Latin countries, clearly, you're going to see a lot of what you see, for example, in Egypt or in Greece or in these countries where they go to the streets as soon as they're not happy with something. You're going to have higher unemployment because nobody's solving the real problem, the real roots causes of the problem. You're going to have, this one's interesting, tax increases for sure. You're going to have licenses where previously you didn't need a license. I don't know if you know that here in London, recently, it was, now you need a license in order to be in the dog walking business. I think you need to pay 200 or 300 pounds a year to be in the dog walking business. Before you didn't need a license for this. This is an example of the government getting desperate and wanting to go into every sector of the economy in order to extract money, to extract revenue. Now, they can do those things in several different ways. One of them is to increase the taxes that already exist, but the other one is to increase, to create licenses where you didn't need them, and fees of all sorts. There will be a breakdown of the support net naturally because we are running out of money at every level of society. Pensions, unemployment benefits, things like that clearly are going to get harder and harder to get, are going to be reduced. I don't know if you know, for example, that in Spain right now, they've been doing this for a couple of times, I think, getting money directly from the pensions in order to pay, to buy for the debt of the country themselves. Things like that are going to become more and more the norm, okay? There will be banking collapse and more bank bail-ins naturally, because it doesn't matter how much money you give to the banks, they're going to need more, because basically there's a reason why they call them zombie banks. Those banks are not working anymore as they should, as proper business. You will see isolationism as well, which is the tendency that we all have to go on our own way when things are getting tough. You will see it clearly more in the European Union, where you saw the Union before. Now you will start to see more and more and more friction between the members of the European Union. Now, where does Bitcoin fit into all this, and what are the positive trends and opportunities for Bitcoin? Well, there are several, and that is the good news there. We have mobile payments in the developing world. For example, in Africa, people went from zero to mobiles with internet on them in just one go. Okay, it didn't happen in all countries in the same way, but it's happening. These people need to transact, need a solution that is instantaneous with low commissions. Bitcoin is perfect for that. We have the micro-lending market. When you put together two different trends, which is the crowdsourcing that the internet allows you to do, and the power that Bitcoin gives you to send money abroad, then you can have that Ernesto in Colombia can get money for the money for the next harvest from Julia in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it may be small amounts. It may be $1,000 or $2,000, but they may not definitely want to go through the banking system because it takes too long, too high commissions, and so on and so forth. Now, you have the online gambling and porn markets. As you saw at the beginning of this presentation, I didn't want to worry you too much. Don't worry, there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But as you saw, the future is not very nice for most of the population, particularly if you don't know that these things are happening, if you don't understand what's going on around you. Therefore, most people are trying to escape in one or two ways. Some people escape with drugs, some people escape with gambling, some people escape with porn. Okay, those are growing markets that will benefit Bitcoin. Increasing drug use for the same reason, talking about escapism. As long as the Silk Road continues using Bitcoin as their main currency, Bitcoin will be in demand, even if for that very small sector of society that uses drugs on a regular basis. There will be, definitely at some point, potential currency collapses. Okay, maybe the euro, maybe not. There are high chances that it could. Things clearly can mathematically not continue the way that they're going today. Okay, we are also seeing a push against a public push against offshore tax havens by the politicians, for example, in this country. It doesn't really mean that they're going to do it, okay, because a lot of the politicians around the world, of course, I'm not talking about this country, a lot of the politicians around the world are rich and powerful themselves, and guess what? They have a lot of money stashed in these places. So one thing is what they say publicly, a different thing is what it comes down to the end when things really happen. Okay, there are certain tools that allow, you see, when we talk about tax evasion, which again, I don't advocate or encourage anyone doing, we have to bear in mind that the less people has access to an operation that is of illicit nature, the better for the person that is doing it. There are less witnesses, and the humans are always the weakest link on any system, any kind of system. Humans are always the weakest link. They like to talk too much. So mixers and other tools that allow you to anonymize your Bitcoins give the possibility for someone, perhaps not someone that wants to launder £1 million, but someone that wants to make disappear $10,000 to do that himself. That can make Bitcoin a viable or attractive way of doing that kind of disappearance of money. Finally, you have the portability of Bitcoin that is very interesting. If you want to move money around the world today, I'll tell you a story. My father moved to Spain. I'm originally from Uruguay, South America. He moved to Spain when he was 55 years old. Okay, he had 5 children. He had to start anew in Spain, in a different country. When he wanted to go through the airport, it would have been far too complicated for him to set up the new bank account in the new country and everything else. He would have loved a solution that would have allowed him to go through the airport just being himself and have his money automatically, electronically, just like this on the other side of the border. Trust me, as things get worse, you're going to see a lot more migration from one country to another for economic reasons. A lot of people will try to save their money. Therefore, if they cannot wire it, they will try to carry it with them. The options in that moment will be gold, very heavy, they will definitely stop you at the airport, or big piles of cash, very heavy, they will definitely stop you at the airport. So that helps Bitcoin in a way as well. Now, finally, the shadow economy emergence. When you see that economies are going down from the first world, turning into the second or third world, you see the emergence of the shadow economy, okay? As you can see in places like Romania and Bulgaria, this may be much higher than you imagine it was, but it's interesting that even in Spain, it's like 20%, in France, in England, about 10%. Very interesting map there. This is today. Imagine when things get worse. Okay, more opportunities and positive trends for Bitcoin. These are more of the kind of public perception of Bitcoin and let's say the points that Bitcoin could use in order to promote itself better. You have disenchanted precious metal owners, okay? You have a whole market there of people that have been buying and selling gold or silver for quite some time, and they have very serious concerns that the market is manipulated right now. They are trying to look for alternatives, and that may benefit Bitcoin as well. The geeks love Bitcoin. As you may know, most people that get technology, you explain the concept of Bitcoin, then run with it right away. There's the disenfranchised youth, which are all the people around us that feel that their dream has been stolen by the older generations. And you have bank customers that are not happy. Okay, these are on the PR side of things. These are points that Bitcoin could use to promote itself in the PR side of things. They're attack points in a way, if you want to promote Bitcoin from a marketing standpoint. And finally, you have citizens not happy with the government. All these are opportunities because it shows that the market is ripe for a change. Who knows what kind of change, but Bitcoin could fit into that picture. What do we have? Unfortunately, we also have some threats against Bitcoin. If you let your imagination run free, we can have what some say that it has started already, a marketing campaign to associate Bitcoiners with very bad people that do horrible things, money laundering, drug use of all sorts, don't having a healthy breakfast. You could also have Bitcoin made illegal. Okay, some people will say, "Oh, this is so far-fetched." This happens all the time to me. Even in a Bitcoin meeting some months ago, I say something and I remember the reaction of some people. They were saying, no, that cannot happen. Well, maybe we're getting closer to that. It doesn't mean, and I want to make clear this point here, it doesn't mean that if they make it illegal, they will succeed, but they may try because they may not know any better. They can confiscate it potentially as well because, as you know, you can follow the trace if you really want to invest the resources in finding out who bought what with what kind of currency. And they can target the leaders personally, okay? In personal campaigns in which the key people in the Bitcoin environment is associated publicly with bad things. The WikiLeaks guy comes to mind. Okay, now, why could this happen? Well, because if you really think about it, Bitcoin is not playing money anymore. You are playing with the people that are the third largest lobby in the United States today, for example. And those people, they really like their commissions and they really like the banking system as it's organized today. And they're not going to allow the Bitcoin community to change it just like that because it's a good idea. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Now, there are other potential threats to Bitcoin. Naturally, the safety of key developers of Bitcoin, I think that we all know who we are talking about. I hope that all these people that are so visible are very safe because some people may say, oh, if something were to happen to this particular star programmer, others will come in their place, right? But bear in mind that if something were to happen very publicly and it's a very unfortunate accident to one of these guys, all the programmers that will come behind will think twice if they want to be associated with that publicly. So, of course, they can go underground, but that's not so easy. That will slow things down. So the safety of key developers of Bitcoin is important. There can be competing digital currencies as well, okay? We should never underestimate the power of Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and Google, and someone else all coming together. Facebook had Facebook credits that were a flop. Of course, they are not exactly what Bitcoin is trying to do here. Amazon has their Amazon coins and things like that, okay? None of them, they're just marketing things. They're completely different to what Bitcoin does. But imagine if they were all to come together, they have enormous power to reach a lot of people all over the world, okay? If they were to do that, then remember a concept that I'm going to say in this presentation. It's not the best idea that wins, it's the idea that has the most adoption, the most promotion, okay? It doesn't have to be the best. Now, we have black swan events, anything can happen, no electricity, no internet, bigger things to worry about than Bitcoin or not Bitcoin. We can have Nakamoto identified and selling. Imagine if that were to happen tomorrow and we were all to discover suddenly that Nakamoto not only was identified, but he became a fixable bag found anytime. We just don't know yet. Okay. The weaknesses of Bitcoin. For a decentralized currency, is very centralized in the way in which we get our information towards Bitcoin. I hope CoinDesk will break that monopoly there. You have at the moment some single points of failures, Mangogs, Bitcoin, Reddit, and other websites where everyone tends to go there. You will only, if you play devil's advocate, you will only have to take down 4 main hubs of information, and it will be a blow there. Technical barriers to entry for new users. Clearly, Bitcoin doesn't pass the grandma test today, and we all have to be realistic. That has to happen if we want the expansion that we believe that Bitcoin could have. There's a lack of positive PR campaign, and this is very important. I see a lot of capable people here today, but unfortunately, the marketing side of things is not going as well or as fast as the programming and the technical side of things. You see, we need to really get better on PR. There's this anarchist or libertarian inclination to the Bitcoin community today, which makes it more difficult for people to collaborate. As you saw at the beginning of this presentation, I'm inviting everyone to collaborate with Bitcoin Global Investments, but a lot of the people in Bitcoin are like, I'll do my own thing. So. But I think that people in groups work much better than people on their own. The last risk there is that mentality of forever and better that some programmers have. Yeah. Sometimes you may think, oh, we are not ready for prime time yet, and you may think that forever until the opportunity is completely gone. Now, something very important, which is something that the Bitcoin community has to be aware of selective attention and confirmation bias. When we see that Bitcoin has the international reach that it has, that we all can agree that it's great news. But when we begin to publish articles, and I must say this was published, this graph, not the article itself. I'm not talking about the article. The graph is very good from the Genesis blog, which are people that I appreciate the work that they're doing. But in the last few weeks, we have seen these articles about how Bitcoin has gone so well up in Argentina and how little we have talked about Bitcoin client downloads going down in all the other countries. So it's very, very important if this community is going to go forward and is going to achieve realistic goals, that we make sure that we know exactly where we are. When I say we, I don't work directly with any of you at the moment, but I mean, we are all in the same boat in one way or another. Very, very important that we are realistic, that we don't sell our own thing to ourselves. Now, this is more than a theory, it's just a point. As I said before, all the repercussion of the economy going down is that the state can extract less and less revenue from the economy. There are more and more bankruptcies. And as well, together with that, unfortunately, what happens is that there's a brain drain. The best brains of your country begin to leave the country when they see that things are getting worse and worse for them, particularly economically. Now, the problem with this is that the federal tax revenues take a major hit, like it says there, all over the world at the same time. It is happening, and it will continue happening and getting worse, that the governments will be able to raise less and less and less money. Okay? Now, this is interesting for Bitcoin because Bitcoin seems to be at the moment on a steady line under the surface somehow. So this is my theory, which is very simple. The last standing man theory says that governments can fight Bitcoin only as long as they can collect enough taxes to do so. All these departments, all these government departments that will be in charge of prosecuting everything to do with illegal currencies, digital currencies, or anything else, it doesn't matter if they're right or they're wrong in what they're doing, but they have to be funded somehow. If you have bridges collapsing, hospitals not being funded, roads coming down in pieces, and schools not being funded, then the funding for those departments that deal with digital currencies may not be a priority. If Bitcoin at that time has continued on the slow but steady line forward, then the governments in different countries may collapse, and some change and different way of doing things may come, some different way that is more open to the world of Bitcoin may come if Bitcoin can continue. Now, some closing comments. I don't know, are you okay? Should I continue, or have I gone too far after my time? Is that okay? I don't hear you. Yeah? Okay, good. So some closing comments, okay? I don't know if you all know who's Nikola Tesla. My point with that bullet point is that not always the best idea is the winner, okay? Nikola Tesla had very good ideas, wireless electricity. Then Thomas Edison came here and he said, can we meter this? Can we make money out of this? No, so I'm going to make your life very difficult. The second thing is .mobi story. When I wrote my book, 347 pages of book about mobile domains in the future, I was talking a lot about this .mobi domain extension. I don't know if it sounds familiar to you. Most probably now it doesn't sound familiar, but a few years back, there was a big community, very, very similar to what is happening to Bitcoin right now, that had a lot of dreams, a lot of money, a lot of things put on the hope that this will be properly managed. Unfortunately, it wasn't. The people at the top took the wrong decisions. Today, we don't talk about .mobi anymore. So imagine if those at the top of Bitcoin, for whatever reason, were to remove the 21 million units. Before you tell me, I know that there's no one at the top of Bitcoin. So it's a decentralized place. Everyone takes the decisions. But you know what? I understand that. But in every kind of organization in which humans are involved, there are always hierarchies. And there are always people that take some decisions and people that don't. Now, very important for Bitcoin today, the Bitcoin community, they have to come together and target emotions, not logic. They have to target the emotion of getting rich or of preserving your wealth, okay? I'm not advocating Ponzi schemes of any kind. I'm just saying maybe you want to demonstrate to people that Bitcoin may be a good way to store the money that you have worked so hard for, but not logic. I see a lot of, let's say, the main point of the Bitcoin efforts to promote themselves today is the logic of what good an idea Bitcoin is. It's very important for us when we're in business to detach of the outcome of everything we know, beware of overconfidence. And finally, in the long term, society will get better. It is my theory that we're going to go through some very hard times in the coming years, but we are going to survive on the other side and everything will be much better. People that will be in power in the next few years will be more open to these kind of things that perhaps they're not so open today. There are also, don't get me wrong, in politics, I believe some very, very capable people, some young people that have a completely different way of doing things, but unfortunately politics today is dominated by a completely different generation. Okay, now what Bitcoin needs to succeed, in my humble opinion? Lower technical barriers to entry, that's clear. A PR campaign, focus that develops on that, okay. The focus of any Bitcoin marketing campaign, in my opinion, should be on developing countries. At the moment, we are all trying to come through the main door into the world with Bitcoin, whereas in the developing countries, they have a much greater need for that, either for microtransactions or as a store of value against rapid inflation, the increase of inflation. So we need to, if Bitcoin is going to succeed or to succeed faster, it needs to go through the back door and attack the developing countries first. Here, all the regulations in the world and all the money in the world, like we saw the lobbies that influence the government so much, are putting all the money to make things difficult for Bitcoin. Why would the Bitcoin community want to make things difficult for themselves? Now, finally, it's very important that all the virality tools that are at the disposal of everyone, including the Bitcoin community, are used. Today, we have to be realistic. I feel, in my opinion, that they're used very poorly. YouTube videos, Facebook viral campaigns, and things like that, very, very little. And like in everything else in life, and that's why I'm here today, is not what you know, is who you know. So it's very, very important to develop contacts, personal contacts, and to work together in order to push something that you are interested in succeeding. Now, I don't know if you're interested in this or my opinion on this. Should I continue or do we leave it here? Yeah, okay. So my opinion with what will happen with the price of Bitcoin in the short term, it may be a little bit disappointing to you because it's that price is irrelevant. Actually, I don't particularly look at the price on the short term. I look at the logarithmic scale that tells us in the long term how Bitcoin is doing. The little mini bubbles are not so important because if you really think about it, right now you have a market that is very small, very young, is not mature enough, it's not professional enough, it's made of people that act on impulse often. The exchanges that are the gateways in and out of this market are a bit temperamental. They can be here tomorrow they're not there. Today they give you the money, tomorrow they don't. Tomorrow they choose to cool down the market for 48 hours if they want to, or disappear for 2 weeks with your funds. It's not serious. You cannot really, if you really want to make money in the short term, Bitcoin is not the best medium. Better to go to the casino. Either Bitcoin is a good idea or it isn't. And my point is that things should be Bitcoin should be looked at as a long-term investment. Yeah. Either you like the idea, you think it has potential, or you don't. But to speculate with it in the short term may be a mistake there. Now, some people have asked me as well, based on whatever, what is my opinion on Bitcoin? What is the price floor of Bitcoin? Well, if we bear in mind that the Silk Road is still using Bitcoin, as long as people have to buy Bitcoin to use the money to pay for the drugs on the Silk Road, Bitcoin mathematically, in my opinion, cannot go to zero. Now, there's also another trend, which is, it's minimal at the moment. There is not so much, but I can assure you that the people are buying Bitcoin in Argentina, in Venezuela, in Iran, and in other places where inflation is going through the roof. They're going to hoard it and keep it for a lot longer than the people in other places that may panic at the news that Mt. Gox did this or did that. Okay, so that's another thing that will keep the price of Bitcoin. Maybe the price of Bitcoin, the floor of Bitcoin right now is between 30 to 50. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. Is worth as much as the personal opinion of anyone else. But what I don't think right now at this point, unless the Silk Road stops using it, and a lot of the people that bought Bitcoin in order to preserve their wealth and their investment, is that it won't go to zero. In my opinion, it couldn't go to zero right now. Okay, finally, I remind you, you are invited to collaborate with Bitcoin Global Investments with what we are doing. You have today gotten to know me a little bit more and to know what I think and where we're going. And I would love to know more about you guys. So you only have to go to the website if you're interested, to the entrepreneurs and developers section. There's a form there. You fill the form with who you are and what you can do, and I will get back in touch with you personally. That's my presentation. I'm Javier Marti from Bitcoin Global Investments, and I hope that you like that. Wow. Okay. Are the questions now? Do you have any questions, guys? You, the only one.
Where is your office? Where's your office?
We are based in Bristol at the moment. We work a lot with virtual teams, yes? And we are planning to register also in London, but we're not doing it at the moment. It's just not necessary.
What do you have to do with trend watching?
What do we have to do with trend watching? Nothing. No. I say that we are a mixture between trendwatching.com, PricewaterhouseCoopers, because trendwatching.com, the reference there was that because my background is in business and trend forecasting, that's what I bring to the company. But we have programmers, we have mathematicians that do the part of the indices and things like that. So it was just a way to explain things. Any more questions? That's great. Either I explain myself very well or I explain myself very badly. Thank you very much. Thank you.